So the way I see it, right, there are 5 main policies which are racist, which most grandly affect the minorities and non-white citizens of the United States. People don't look at them all as racist. They look at the first one. Well, yeah, that's pretty racist, but it's like it's meant to be. It's supposed to help the races. It's supposed to help the minorities. It's affirmative action, right? But like I was talking about on that other video, I think that affirmative action hurts on the back end. Hurts the people it's supposed to help.
Anytime you have to tell somebody you have to hire this person,
you're creating in their mind.
Yeah, it's like, oh, fuck, I gotta hire this guy.
Potential bias.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to give him the least amount of hours when it comes down to it. I'm going to give him, I'm going to pass more for raises. I'm going to pass more. But yeah, in general, affirmative action, not only that, it's the idea that everybody's equal. We're going to prove this by giving some people an advantage over others. And
Animal Farm, everybody's equal.
Yeah, exactly.
Some people are more equal than others.
And not only that, the argument, it was upset, but now, that we're trying to make it so it'll level out. What point would it be repealed? Because in theory, it should be at some point. Once you've shaken the pot a little bit, okay, everything's mixed. We're at good cooking temperature. Things should be repealed, right? That's the idea.
Yeah, exactly.
But that wasn't written into the law.
No, it wasn't. Because how would you know exactly when?
Yeah.
It would have to be.
The metric for racism is your feelings.
Yeah, it's
I feel like it's racist.
Yeah,
so,
especially now.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's evolved into now.
It's like, can you quantify it? Ben Shapiro was talking on a panel for conservative radio, and he's like, how do you differentiate between this action that you as an ACLU lawyer are mitigating against was racist versus it was not, that it was race-based or versus it's not, and she couldn't answer.
Yeah, because do you know the guy's thoughts at that time?
Well, because the races are different, therefore it must have been racially motivated. It's like, no, that doesn't make any sense.
It's
just because there is a coincidence doesn't mean there's correlation.
It's even worse than that. It's people now, especially left-leaning people, complain about the witch trials, which obviously they were bad. They complain about communism trials. Obviously they're bad. But no, it's fine when you do it now. When I have to prove...
It's when I do it.
Yeah.
Well, you're a racist. I don't care. You're a racist.
Yeah.
And you're like, but wait, you're not a racist. You're a racist.
Yeah.
Stop mansplaining.
Well, no. It's even worse. It's like, I'm not a racist. Okay, well, how are you not a racist?
I have black friends.
I have black friends. Sounds like a racist would say.
Exactly.
It's like, I'm not a communist. I have paid people fairly. Something the communists would do to cover their tracks.
Or how about that teacher that was teaching in their high school class that to be white is to be racist?
Yeah, but that's what I mean.
That's fucking ridiculous.
Or that black people can't be racist.
Yes, because you just changed the definition and you're like, well, see.
That's an argumentative term called persuasive definitions, where you take whatever your version of it is that fits your narrative, and you say that that's the new definition. I'm defining it this way for me.
Well, that's like the definition of something being a communist, not being a communist regime, is that the economy failed, I think. Because every time you go, well, communism doesn't work, like this place,
Here's this example.
Yeah, well, that's not real communism. Okay, well, what about this example? That's not real communism. Yeah, like, are you getting tired? Why? Because those goalposts are heavy, and you're just bashing with those dumb bitches. As I get closer, like, ah!
Yeah.
No.
So it's like you try to lock it down in different situations. Like I see there's affirmative action in schools, right?
Yeah.
There's this minorities get accepted at below the merit of others, and that's what's really messed up is like if you just take African American, no, not African like they've been here, so blacks. If you just take blacks in the U.S., then there's a population of those blacks that will graduate high school with a 4.0 with like a great service record, who went out and did all the stupid crap that you have to do in high school nowadays,
as the other
right? But I'm saying it with like equal level with all the other non-minority or minority. It doesn't really matter. All of them competing at the same level, right? And you take this large population. You look at, I only have 200 slots for this year for this class, right? some of them might get screwed out.
And they're the ones that are trying.
Others that weren't trying as hard and didn't get as good a grade.
When it comes down to it, it's a
Of the
values
same
issue.
race.
It's a values issue. I grew up in La Puente, a predominantly Mexican neighborhood, and because I read books, fucking schoolboy, that's a bad thing. And that's not just in the Hispanic community. That's in the Black community. That's in not the Asian community.
No, but
Not the Asian community. Yeah.
No, but
it's a cultural problem. It's not a race problem. It's a cultural problem.
It's a cultural problem.
Yeah, in a Black community, you'll be bougie motherfucker.
No, because I grew up with a Black friend who was raised by an Air Force chaplain. Man, that fool is fucking smart. Went to school. He has a really good job. He grew up in the same area that I did, and he's doing much better than most of the people I know.
Wasn't he?
Brandon. No, but I mean, he's definitely a Black person by mother and father, and high values. It just depends on who raised you and what environment and what they value themselves. Because again, there's other Black parents that raise their children in the quote unquote ghetto who said, no, fuck that, you're not joining gangs, you're gonna study, you're gonna get your shit together, and you know what? Ben Carson.
They do.
Ben Carson.
And that's what I mean. Like those people,
Chris Rock too.
Yeah.
They're of the minority race, right? But they aren't necessarily of the minority class.
Yeah.
Their parents make good money, made good decisions, did the 3 things that you have to do to not fail in life, which is graduate high school, get a job, don't have kids before you're married, right? Their parents did it right. They were raised at a slightly higher income level, and so when applying for these positions in a school, they get turned down for the kid that's of the single mother or something like that.
Yeah, because
the lower class. So they take that lower class and try to bring it up. It's like, it's not about money. It's about your culture.
Yeah, see, that if I was a college admissions officer, which I don't know who would hire me for that would be a bad decision. I'll pick good kids.
We act like affirmative action is good for race, and it's like, it doesn't equalize. It doesn't do any of that.
No, it's I will tell you, the most times I have felt, racially stepped out is when people try and cover love me and, well, no, you're just as good as everyone else. That's why I'm standing up for you.
Oh, patronizing. Yeah.
Yes. But what I've
white
actually
knighting.
Yeah.
Actually, most of
white knighting.
Most of the racism I've experienced is from my own race.
That too, yeah.
Because I mean, I'm more Hispanic than a lot of the Mexicans. I'm 2 kinds of beans. I'm habichuela and pinto, but the thing is, I got cursed in their eyes with light skin, and so instead of like, it's pinche güero, and it's because my skin color that's racism right there.
Yeah.
Or
trying to be successful, you must be acting like you're white.
Or even in the Black community, I've heard them talk with disdain about somebody who's high yellow. Like lighter skin.
Or Uncle Tom.
Well, high that's the skin
Or red
color,
bone.
or red bone.
Oh, okay.
It's not like the dark, looks like he could follow somebody and be paid to be a shadow, but like Lenny Kravitz or Redman.
Right.
Yeah, lighter, even that, and it's like, what? Like, really? You complain about racism and everything, but then you do it to your own people. It's just, it's perpetuating the cycle. And it's like, well, we ain't getting enough from Whitey. Let's do it to our own too.
Right.
There's a movie. I don't remember what it was.
That's like racism within their own culture. Obviously, we're talking more of like the policy.
Policy. It's
Institutional.
The problematic systemic, and so on and so forth.
So
donate to my Patreon.
Back to affirmative action, right? So affirmative action is racist because it lowers production overall, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So you get those like 75% are kids that did 75% as good as possible in high school, going for those 90% schools, right? And 90% school has to accept some of them. And then you have like 2 or 3 different directions that can go. One is they fail out, and everybody's like, well, racism.
Yep.
So it can't be for any other reason. It's got to be racism.
Well, because any other reason means that somebody has to take personal responsibility.
Yeah.
Right, and so then, let's blame it on the professors. It must be the professor's fault. So what do the professors do in order to stop looking like, or stop being accused of racism?
They pass them.
They lower their standards.
Pass them.
Right.
But I don't
They
go to a hospital anymore.
It's a 90% school and drop it to 75%.
Yeah.
And those kids and all their peers, they go out and try to get a job. And they work for those new jobs for a little while, and the jobs are like, whoa, this school doesn't have the same esteem that it used to.
Yep.
You know?
And also they think, well, you know, that's a predominantly white school. This guy must have been a, you know, affirmative action placement.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you can go down that line of thinking as an employer and be like, well, is he really as good as the other ones, or was
right.
does he have the same value? Did he earn it, or was he just passed along?
And I can't know.
Did he have power professors, or
I can know about this Asian kid and I can know about this white kid, but I can't know about that black kid. You got like a 50-50 chance.
Yeah, I mean, if you're you're a HR person, you have a guy sitting in front of you. His name is like Jamal Jackson, right? He comes from like his address is a, inner city, poor piece of crap apartment, right? But he's graduated from Harvard, and like everything else, but he has this really illustrious school, and you go, where did he come from?
Yeah, he's either a genius, which is awesome, and I want him.
Yes.
And obviously he's a genius. He works hard. He applies himself, and he's the exact kind of employee I want, because I'm a capitalist and I want my company to do the best it can do.
Yeah.
Or I'm screwing myself over by hiring him because he's not going to perform at the level of his peers.
And see, as a business owner, you have to weigh that risk and be like, do I want to risk it that he's a genius or a fucktard, or do I want to, or do I want to go with somebody who's a safe bet?
Right.
You know?
It's that implicit, that like
Josh Turner over here is a great
bias
safe bet.
starts to develop in the employment practices and hiring practices.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and in general, I mean, is it wrong that people will do that? Yeah, like to even just go, I think he's an affirmative action hire, but because that's there, because that is even there, people think that. Like I said, if the argument was that like we needed to shake things up, I would say now the time has changed. As far as to repeal it for that reason now.
And that would be possible. Like look at what would happen if I have these like 3 applicants in front of me, and 2 are white and 1's black, and 1 went through Harvard, and I know that this country is sort of racist, but there's no such thing as affirmative action. Who is my best bet? Black kid.
Yeah.
Because not only did he graduate with the same honors and all the same stuff as the other 2, but he's probably faced more adversity than the other 2. He's probably more resilient, probably more ingenious, probably more capable of like standing up for himself and doing good things for my company.
Yep.
That's who I want.
Yep, exactly.
But if affirmative action is a thing, then it's like, I don't know.
Well, and then you also have a situation, because like I haven't personally seen it, but I mean everyone's heard that story about the affirmative action hire who knows they can't be fired.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the other side. You go like, you get all these new graduates through, right? And now you have 75% of your workforce is hired off merit, and something like 25% were hired off affirmative action. Well, now my company is doing 75% of what it used to do.
Yeah.
And productivity-wise, and my stocks start to drop.
I mean, admittedly,
but it's not them because to think that's racist.
Well, I'm just saying, my stocks start to drop. People start selling my stocks, and my company tanks, and now all the 75% and all the 25% are all out of a job.
Yeah, realistically, it's probably like it won't be
actually. Yeah, it won't be 25%.
It'll be like 85% at its power. I mean, even if that, but because I mean, obviously they know they can't be fired. I mean, that's not the case. But these hires who know that they're there because they have to be, will do whatever it takes. Just I clocked in today.
The amount of time and effort that I waste, essentially disciplining my employees for not producing, is lost. It's all, even that time is lost. So
yeah,
they weren't producing at the same level, and now I'm sitting here like writing them up constantly. So affirmative action is really obvious, right? But I think the next one is far less obvious. I think people act like it's this super necessary thing, especially for like all poor people, not just some individual race, and that's rent control.
No, that's bad. Just look at the New York situation.
No, rent control is the reason why you have the New York slumlord.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who's like,
and it's also the reason why you have fucking skyrocketing rent rates. You have a shitty little apartment over there, and it's like triple the rent over here.
Mm-hmm. And it's not even like Los Angeles is even any better.
It's not even a good one. It's not like, yeah, it's small, but it hasn't been. No, it's a piece of crap. Like paint peeling, roaches, and you're like, dude, why am I paying $3,500 for this one bedroom? You know, this is ridiculous. I'm in the hood.
Because the gap between the rent control price and the real price continually gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
And they have to make up for the rent control because, I mean, paint isn't free, carpeting isn't free, fixing pipes isn't free, and you still have to pay for all that overhead, having all that. But how are you going to pay it when everybody's paying 1980 prices, 1990s prices?
Rent control is great for rich people. It's awesome because they can spend their own money on all the stuff that you need to do.
Yep.
But for everybody else, the manager, the landowner's just going to let it go.
Yep. No incentive.
Like, what are you going to do? Sue me? Sue me. I don't care.
What are you going to do? Leave? Good. I could bring someone in at a higher rate.
I'm going to let you in a secret. Fucking leave. I want everybody to leave. Like, let's go.
And the thing is, the reason why it's racist, so it's not, I mean, obviously everything we just said is about class. You know, everything, it affects the poor most. There are rich people in rent-controlled apartments in New York. But the ones that it does damage to are the poor. And the poor, rent control only happens in these, like, densely populated areas. And so the poor raise poor kids and can't move. You know, they can't move out to better jobs. They can't seek a higher employment somewhere else because it starts to become this larger and larger gap between what they can afford to pay for rent and what they would have to pay for rent if they get that new job.
Yes.
So it's just a fact of demographics that the largest proportion of your population in an inner city is going to be minority. It's not going to be white. Because the whites moved out to the suburbs in the 60s, right? So.
Well, in LA, that's changing.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like, it's not something I have to explain why. I don't think I have to explain why the population density of minorities in the inner cities is minorities, right?
Yeah.
Or is so high, but it is, and so anything that affects mostly these dense inner cities is going to affect minorities the most. You know, where do you get rent control? In suburbs?
No.
In the rural areas?
No.
Dense inner cities. And when you put rent control in place, you lower the quantity of available housing, and by lowering the quantity and increasing the demand, because they're having kids. I won't get into how many kids, but they're having kids, and those kids aren't leaving either. You know, they want housing, they want apartments and stuff like that. So the demand raises. So the real price of everything around it that's not rent controlled starts to just skyrocket. Like you're saying, a $1,500 loft in Pasadena. A $1,500 loft out in like the suburbs of New York is $3,500 or $4,500 in downtown New York, and that's insane. And it controls the districting too. I'm not going to get into like the voting districts and stuff like that, but it maintains those voting districts. And we look at like the last last election.
That's the thing is it's not gerrymandering. It's the opposite of that. It's not drawing imaginary lines like this.
No, it's pushing people.
It's everyone going.
Yeah.
See, it's not illegal if I just herd you all into one little spot.
Yeah, because where do you have to do rent control? You know, I'm going to write the law to say you got to rent control this area, which already votes for Democrats.
So we're going to basically they're putting a wall saying this will never not vote that way.
Right.
Because you suck a little longer on my teeth.
Right. What's the solution to rent control? What's like the solution that is offered to people who are struggling under rent control?
Section 8 housing.
Yeah, Section 8 and other government subsidies, other government handouts, other government funding. Like, oh, you can't afford your rent because you're a single mom? Well, here's some money.
Here's some money. Vote Democrat.
Right.
Vote Tammany. Oh, wait a second. So they put them in quarters, give them food.
Sounds like a plantation.
Keep them all in one area, and they can leave, but
they can't.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
And then
I always wondered about the argument of like, why didn't slaves just run away? You know, like lots of them did. It's a really high number that like attempted it multiple times to run away.
Yeah, dogs and guns and stuff.
Well, what's the difference between the black slaves and the Native Americans? that were made into slaves early on. Because Native
Nice.
Americans understood the area and were just like, fuck you, I can leave.
Or also, they also understood that white dudes had to sleep at some time and knives are sharp.
Well, what I mean is it's like for a lot of the black slaves that were raised here, they didn't know.
Yeah,
anything.
it's
like there was no place they could go.
I mean, I'm assuming the first time that snow started falling, you heard screaming coming from the slave quarters. It's like,
Oh, it's just like where are they going to run to? Everywhere within their mind, like all their entire world. You know how like your world's only as big as you can envision it. Your entire world is dominated by these people that will kill you.
Yep.
Right.
Step out
The
on
Native
your
Americans that were like enslaved, they're like, no, I can get back to my tribe. I know where they are. Fuck you, I'm out.
I think you almost adopted an Indian accent for that. Fuck you.
I'm out.
Listen to me, my friend.
Wrong
No,
Indian.
no. You take me as slave, I cut you.
Yeah, back when they took the Indians from India and then made them slaves in America with the feathers. I do understand history.
Fuck you, white man. You don't do this to me.
So yeah, it's kind of the same idea. Let's put them in the quarters. Let's pay for their food and clothing and their housing, and then they try to get jobs and their jobs suck because they're in the inner city and they can't fucking go out.
Well, and on top of that, I mean, it's trying to put a business in the inner city is a fucking nightmare to have.
Why? And that's because that brings me to the next one. Gun control.
Mm.
Gun control is one of the most slyly racist things ever.
Yes, it is.
Right?
No, but it's for their protection.
You need to rely on our police.
Yeah. So I mean, okay, to go back all the way, first gun control was against like Nat Turner and stuff like that. No slaves, no free blacks can own guns anymore because y'all motherfuckers rise up and kill us, and that's scary as hell, right? But that's not the kind of gun control we have now.
No.
So the most relevant current policy that's still in place is the one that was in place, enacted by the federal government back in like the 1930s or 20s against the mob, right? Prohibition era. I can't remember. It's the National Firearms Act or something like that.
I think that's actually the name of it, no joke.
Yeah.
Because some of those early ones were like, I don't know.
But even those are weak. They're just like, hey, you can't sell automatic rifles and shit like that without like a $200 tax.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really weak sauce, right? So then the one that like has the most effect is not what you can buy and sell. It's what you can carry, right?
Yeah.
And so the first carry laws happened in Oakland. And that was because of Black Panthers. Black Panthers would like follow around cops. And the cops would pull over a black guy. Black Panthers would get out of their car with their rifles at their side and shout legal advice to the black guy that was pulled over. And that was really pissing off
I'm sure.
California government. And so it's the Mulford Act.
Well, I would also say that there were in like the 1800s, you did have city ordinances. They had them there.
Orientals.
They had the city ordinances where y'all couldn't carry no hog legs into the city.
Right. Like Dodge City, Whiter,
there were a lot of
Mustang.
them.
Check your gun.
That happened.
Check your gun at the door. The big bucket up
But
front.
that was
Honor
when people
system, please.
essentially didn't live in the city.
Yeah.
That's a whole different concept. You have this. The city is this market where people come to buy and sell and share. This is,
and also
you live in the city. You're not allowed to carry here.
And not only that, it's
a whole different idea.
It's not even that, because a lot of gun control is you cannot own. Period. Full stop.
Right. And it gets to that though. It gets to that. Oakland was the beginning.
What I mean is that, but with those rules, it wasn't you couldn't own. It's like, on the contrary, we definitely buy American. Remington's a good company.
Right.
But just don't take it into town because people get shot like a lot.
Yeah, we've noticed a lot of people are assholes when they get drunk, and you're only coming here to get drunk. So we put two and two together. Please don't bring your guns.
Don't bring your gun, asshole.
We're not gonna stop you from drinking. Lord knows we tried that one. Nope.
Yeah. So I mean, you fast forward to Oakland, and they make it illegal because blacks were using their ability to walk around armed to intimidate fucked up cops. That was the beginning of gun control. And Oakland started it, and LA and Chicago and New York and DC and all these other cities
we've never
followed in line.
Right? Like,
right?
We don't have our war zones out of this.
Gun control is racist because, right? Start there. Because
the donkey puts it up, so it's got to be bad.
Who does it affect most? It affects the inner city, already high crime, low class areas that because they're the inner city and lower economic class,
Yes.
they're predominantly minorities, right? So you have densely populated areas, they're most likely to be higher crime. You have higher crime areas are more likely to enact gun restriction laws.
Yes.
Right? So it just follows,
But
right?
higher crime areas are also the ones who have the illegal guns. And so the gun laws really just affect the nice people who are trying to live and coexist in that society and make a daily living and feed their kids.
Right. And so it perpetuates the
Yes.
violence of the crime, and in fact increases the violent crime rate, as we've seen in Chicago, 762 murders last year. And they have one of the strictest gun laws in the country,
Yep.
right? But then you have, it creates this economic problem, which plays into all the other things, the rent control and affirmative action, stuff like that, where you're living in this highly densely populated, high crime area, and criminals are now getting more and more violent because they know you can't defend yourself. If I'm going to break into your house, I'm going to do it like they do in England while you're still there. For the most of the U.S., people won't break into your house when they think you might be there because they think they'll get shot.
Yes.
But if they know you don't have a gun, there's no deterrent from that.
I don't know. I got swords.
Right.
I'm not kidding. I don't want to do it. Like, that's one of those things, like every owner of a weapon that they have for their self-defense or home defense, they always think, I want to stop an intruder. I both want to and absolutely don't. Like,
I don't want to clean up after.
And your
I
sword
have
gets taken
I have a
off.
kukri machete, I have a kukri machete that if I chop your arm off with that, which I could, I've seen it do things with meat and watermelon.
Yep.
I don't want to live here anymore.
It's going to be like, well, because you're going to be
That's
like,
gross.
and that's where my son walked for the first time, and that's where I chopped the motherfucker's arm off. I will never see as anything other than that.
Yeah.
My son sits there and does that homework.
Yeah, I thought that was all it was going to be. I chopped his arm off, and then he died. But it's all that spurting afterward for like a good minute.
Now there's a ghost and shit. And like,
Just fucking screaming and shit, like just the.
And so,
Yeah, the
high crime, densely populated areas, the criminals live amongst an unarmed populace.
yes.
And they know that, so that their
More
violence,
brazen. Way more
their
brazen.
violence level increases, right? And so then, because their violence level increases, new investment doesn't go there.
no.
And if new investment doesn't go there, honestly,
Fresh commerce.
all you have to do is literally, as criminals, start killing a few people off here and there, and you'll fuck the economy up. Because there's less people to work at these jobs.
Well, all you got to do to get people to move out is kill a lot of pretty white girls for a bit.
And people will leave. You're killing some of them, and no new business comes in. What happens? Everything stagnates.
Yeah, it's one of the keys to like human economy is trade and commerce to be happening, like fresh commerce. New ideas, new items, new things come in that change up the game. When that doesn't happen, you have stagnation.
Well, even worse, the ones that are there, the old mom and pops that have been around since way back when, they get victimized on a regular. They can't be armed, and the people still come in and victimize them. They get robbed.
Right.
But he was a gentle giant, though.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, and so like the more you do that, the more residents will either look at either turning to crime because they have no money, they can't leave because they're on rent control, right? So they either turn to crime or they turn to government assistance, government handouts to take care of them, to keep them them moving, lowering the economic strength of the city overall, right?
It's like
It's all given to them or taken by them, not earned by them.
Yeah. And so it's just downwardly spiraling problem.
Yeah, and
Detroit. Detroit's a perfect example of that. Detroit's just disgusting.
Poster child. Mwah.
Yeah.
poster child of Democrat-run cities. Mwah. It's so. Did you know that they have areas that are reforesting? That's one of the terms that they had. Like reforestation happens.
Yeah,
but literally parts of how it's like, oh, the city's spreading out and it's taking over the wilderness. The opposite is literally happening.
Yeah, it looks like The Last of Us, with the trees and the buildings and stuff. And
or like Legend.
Yes,
I'm
Legend. Yeah, it's like that.
That shit's happening.
Yeah.
And not just there. Not the reforestation, but the crime and all that from guns. DC. When first time I ever visited DC, I shit you not, it was in 8th grade. I was on a school bus, and we're going down one of the streets. I don't remember where. I saw a guy literally jack for his shoes. On the sidewalk, guy goes, drops them, His homie runs up, starts rifling through his pockets. They take his shoes and bolt running. That was one of my first experiences in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
My nation's capital.
And it's a given.
Yeah.
If D.C. was like Dallas, Texas, or Scottsdale, Arizona,
well, then you would have
those
people...
kids live there, or that you just transport them there. They're like, I'm not going to do this.
Well, yeah, because then
Why?
you have to
Because
be
they might kill you.
Yeah.
That's
Also,
why.
if it's Scottsdale, Arizona, you have to be out in the open during the day, which means you'll probably immolate instantly. Instantly.
Catch fire.
Yeah, just
So hot. So hot.
yeah. You don't see. That's also the reason why. It's like places like Arizona and Texas, it's too hot to do crime. You got
God damn it! I'm just gonna go work inside where it's air conditioned.
you got the swamp ass and the crotch rot, and you're just sitting there going, no, I just want lemonade. That's all I want. All I want. That's all I want is lemonade. Like if I saw somebody who was walking carrying lemonade, crime's gonna happen. That crime's gonna happen. Like
Wouldn't happen in Arizona. Wouldn't happen in Tri-City area, whatever it's called. Because they have open carry, they have concealed carry, and it's just a right to carry state, right? Arizona.
Which it should be everywhere.
So you're looking at, well, I really like his shoes, and it doesn't look like he has a gun, but he might have a gun.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't have a gun, there's like 6 other people within 25 yards of me.
Well, just the thought of like somebody being able to defend themselves at the drop of a hat really keeps a lot of people honest.
Yeah.
Really does.
An armed society is a polite society.
It is. I watched a documentary about like the 1920s or something, and I wouldn't go so far as to say I would want this, but they said back then you didn't sass off to a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, they might have a 25 on them. you mouth off to him, pop, pop, pop. You know, yeah, he might not be able to punch you, but he could punch you with bullets.
It's a great equalizer.
and yeah, what was it?
Damn it, Colt.
Be a man of any size, calling me and I'll equalize. You know, he didn't technically say that, but it's accredited to. Anyway, I would honestly say crime would even be worse for one thing, which is martial arts. Because that's still a threat that people have to consider. You know, like, I want to go run up and steal that guy's crap, but...
He might kick me in the throat.
Yeah. You know,
He might permanently disable me. He might blind me. Like, do I get to come out of this completely perfectly the same way I am right now? Not really sure.
like that
But if I have my illegal gun and I know you don't have one, your martial arts ain't shit.
Yep, I got gun foo.
One time I saw on the internet a guy caught a bullet.
Well,
He
Yeah.
died, but he caught it.
In his chest.
Yep.
So, okay. From gun control, we move on. Right? The problem with, like, I can't get this job that would take me out of this gun-controlled, rent-controlled area is that I don't have the experience that employers are looking for in these jobs that pay more than what I'm getting here, right? Or that would make it worth my time to get off government assistance. And so
So I might as well vote
what
for
do
government
we fight
assistance.
for? We're fighting for $15 an hour. It's like, are you out of your mind? That takes away the ability of the employer and the potentially employed to negotiate on a wage that's reasonable for their level of experience.
Yeah, they want everybody at the bottom to have the same wage as the middle. That's
Well,
the general argument.
Even if you could do that, like economically, if that was a viable action to do, if you are not, yeah, I'm going to pay you less than what I think you're worth for your hour. Otherwise I'm losing money, and you're going to work for more than what you think your hour is worth. Otherwise, you're losing money because you could be making it somewhere else.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's just how everything works. You know, I'm not going to, if I think that I can make right now in an hour $100 doing this thing, and you ask me, hey, you want to come here and do this other thing for $20 an hour, I'm going to tell you to fuck off. That's stupid. Why would I do that? Unless I know I'm not worth that $100 to do that other thing. If I know I can't do that job, I'm not going to try and go there. So the $15 an hour thing is like, I'm, in your eyes, given like all the comparison to everybody else who's applying for this job, I'm worth $14 an hour. But you're saying it's illegal for me to agree with you to come into a consensual arrangement with you for $14 an hour. How fucked up is that?
Yeah. Well, we've talked about it before, where any time the government mandates, hey, you have to do this, it's usually pretty wrong. I mean, there are the occasional things like, yeah, you have to not murder someone.
Well,
you know, like,
I would say
that
outside of
restricts you from doing something.
Yes.
Sure.
Well, I would say outside of the big obvious ones, like, don't go dumping toxic waste in a lake, right? Now, it's kind of one of those things like you slap your forehead when you go, that's illegal to do, just like you have to have the employees must wash hands. Like,
Well, maybe I just don't want to do it well.
Yeah, I'll just do it to the bare minimum.
Sweat.
What are you going to do? Fire me and get somebody else and pay them the same amount? They're going to act the same way.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's screwing with the productivity of business as a whole. And so...
And that's not even talking about the price raise, because now the drivers have to pay this, the gas people have to pay this, and the whole infrastructure that supports our economy, just all of it goes up.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, yeah, you got a better wage, but inflation shoots up, and now your better wage has to buy these more expensive things.
But yeah, it's purchasing parity. How much the money allows you to get.
Yes.
Because it's not a better wage, it's just a higher wage.
Yes.
It's like you're talking to a superior officer, it's like, no, I'm just talking to a higher ranking one. $15 that can buy you a loaf of bread and a gallon of gas, or $10 that can buy you a loaf of bread or a gallon of gas, they're the same amount.
Yeah,
They have the same purchasing parity. So if all it is lip service, like, hey guys, all of you that want to vote for my political party, we'll raise your wage to $15. Yay! You're too stupid to understand economics.
Well, let's raise it to 1,000. Let's raise it to 1,000.
America.
But
we're going to be all millionaires.
The gas is going to be $200.
Did the math.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, who was millionaires in other countries before? Like Venezuela, Brazil, they've all been millionaires. A lot of them. When crazy stagnation happens and the price just inflates at rapid rates, and now, oh look, I'm charging $1 million frickin' whatever dollars they have in Germany. I can't remember.
Deutschmarks. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Back in 1930s.
Yeah.
Was that Deutsch or Reich?
Deutsch. It would have been Deutsch.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, look, this piece of bread here is now worth $1 million Deutschmarks. You're taking money in wheelbarrows to buy fucking bread.
Yep.
Which means
what was it?
You're a millionaire, and it doesn't mean shit because you're going to starve to death and die.
It was so bad, and so bad in Germany, that people would have to be paid halfway through the day because their wage
would change. So it would be,
and so you would have to get paid halfway through the day, run to home on your lunch break, pay for bills and so on and so forth, and run back to work.
Yep.
It's cool bananas. But they probably had free health care.
Yeah, their purchasing parity was going from 100 equals 100 to 100 equals 50 to 100 equals 25 to 100 equals 10 to 5 to 1 to
point.
Now we're in the same thing. By the end there, it was worth not even a countable number. You had to have multiple hundreds just to get to a countable number that made any sense in terms of what you could purchase with it.
What was it? There's a famous picture of a German, I think he was a barber, wallpapering his house with money because it was cheaper than wallpaper.
Right.
That's insane.
Let's just raise the minimum wage until, what you're getting paid ain't worth
$1 million an hour.
I promise you all will be 100,000-aires. But gas, woo! That's going to be so expensive.
America.
A Big Mac is $500.
We're all going to be millionaires. We did the math. We can do it.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, you're not going to be able to do anything, but we're all going to be millionaires.
You're going to be in the same shit situation that you are now, but it'll sound better.
And there's going to be a whole lot of people who hate you because you just made their purchasing parity go down. They're not at the $15 amount.
Mm-hmm.
They're at the $30 amount, and you just made their $30 an hour look like shit.
Yeah, but that's the thing. There's always going to be more on that bottom piece of the pyramid. And so by doing that, you're always going to buy more votes that way. You're always, remember, I got you a raise. I made your rent lower. I made those hoodlums with guns. I made it illegal for them to hold them. That's what it comes down to. And it's like, in their own twisted view, they did all these things for me.
Well, it kind of reminds me of the whole white supremacy movement back in the day when it was our responsibility to look out for the lesser races.
Yes.
Oh, white burden?
White burden? White man's burden?
White man's burden, yes.
Yeah, they were all into the white man's burden. We can't let the slaves go because they don't know how to take care of themselves. They're just ignorant children. It's like, are you out of your mind? They take care of your entire plantation.
Yep.
No, I do, because I go out there and I yell at them, and I tell Toby get off his ass and I whip a guy until he died, but, you know.
Yeah, so when you went off to kill Republicans, what did they do? They still took care of your plantation. They were just fine. They don't need you. You need them. That's the difference. It's not white man's burden. It's the burden that white men put onto their slaves. And now it's still that idea that it's like, oh, you know, we politicians, we have this responsibility to take care of the minorities. I mean, white people, they can be poor and shit all they want. We all know the average welfare recipient is a single white mother. That's the highest number of welfare recipients, a single white mother with a male child, actually.
I'm sure when they talk about this, you know, there's probably, you know, private conversations, and they're like, yeah, but fuck them.
Yeah, fuck them. We don't need to improve their situation.
No.
Let's just focus on the minorities.
Yeah.
Because, you know, racism and historical institutional problems.
They got that ring. They got that ring of keys that every time.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, the votes will come, right?
Yeah. Build it, and they will come. America, build it, and you'll come. Not like that.
I know what you're going for there.
No, you guys do it like that.
Yeah. I didn't do the hand bongos.
So that brings us to the last one, obviously. Welfare. Welfare is a cyclical problem.
Oh, yeah.
No, the only thing I have to say about welfare, and there's the only thing that Gary said, what LBJ said.
I'll have them voting for us for decades.
We'll have them, acceptable Americans, voting for us for decades.
When your confirmation letter comes in to say that, yes, you've been accepted and all this shit, it should say right on the top, gotcha, bitch! Like, seriously, I mean, it's hard to break that. It really is hard to get out of the cycle. And when you've been, I've known people that have been taught from a young age how to game the system and stay on welfare. Make sure you have kids.
You have really smart people teaching them how to game the system.
Yes, you
like
do.
Acorn was all about that. It was really smart people put into a government contracted organization called Acorn.
Yeah.
Where they're like, okay, so you're this, okay, we can fill out this form, we'll file this thing, we'll do this thing, and then you'll get all this government assistance. You're a pimp? Oh, don't worry about it.
Entrepreneur.
Yeah, you're an entrepreneur. This is your prostitute? No, this is your assistant, your secretary, administrative clerk. You know, like they were literally caught doing that. You can look it up. This old Drudge Report.
No, but I thought that happened under Obama's watching. He had no scandals.
So, you know, it creates it's problematic because of like three very separate things, though, right? It creates a dependency, right? So when you get to this point where my income is X level, and if I were to work with the level of experience that I have, it would be Y level, and Y is below X. There's no reason for me to ever change. Only if I know that Y is above X, I can make more by working than I can by accepting the welfare checks that I'm getting. Only then would I move out and try to do something else. So it creates dependency. It encourages cultural deficiencies because all the welfare programs are geared toward what we would consider like the more in need. But at the same time, the more in need are in more need for the most part because their cultural ideas just suck. Graduate high school, get a job, don't have kids before you get married. They're not doing those three things. You know, it's geared toward single mothers. If you're married, you can't get the same welfare that you get if you're a single mother.
Yeah, and
you can't get it if you're a male the same way as you can if you're a female. You can't get it if you can't get like assistance if you live with your parents or something like that, or if you are going to school, or if you graduate high school. That drops your ability to get welfare or certain types of programs.
Yeah.
You know, the more kids you have, we all know, the more welfare you get.
I mean,
the more WIC you get.
It all depends on your dependents.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it makes a sort of sense too. Like it doesn't come off as inherently sinister. No. You're a single woman. Oh, can we help you out? We were a man. Well, the same thing that comes off as sex too. Like just thinking about that. That like, well, women can do anything a man can, but that's why we're going to continually coddle you and treat you like a fucking infant. You know.
So, yeah, it's like you don't look at it and think, well, if I'm going to give out welfare, if I'm going to take money from other people and give it to some people, and I'm giving it to some people because they need it, who needs it most? I say widows and orphans, right? Widows and orphans need it the most.
Yeah.
Essentially.
That's
So
like,
it's like, well,
society.
that's where it starts, and it just grows.
Yeah.
What about non-widows? Their husbands didn't die. They just don't have a husband. They never had a husband. Well, okay, I guess them too. But what about non-orphans? Those kids, I mean, their mother is just has a shit job. You know, okay, those kids too.
She's not unemployed. She's underemployed.
Yeah, underemployed. So he has a shit job. Okay, those kids too. And we just keep adding on.
It just keeps
and
expanding.
adding on.
The
adding
one
on,
that
and
makes
expanding
me like go insane is they're trying to expand it to people who aren't even from this country.
No. Yeah, that's not even a reason, like a part of this discussion. That's horrifying.
But it is because
You know.
it's still another form of racism
It is.
and a control of
Yeah.
that race.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
come in here, stay in your area, and vote for us.
Oh, and see, that's the thing, too. They realize with Mexicans, I mean, undocumented immigrants. Yeah, I'm not an assassin. I'm an undocumented policeman. Yeah. They realized that they could get votes and labor.
Yeah.
I get to be a Southern Democrat and a modern Democrat. It's amazing. I'll pick my lemons and vote Democrat.
Right.
Don't ask no questions.
So, and then it finally creates divisiveness between like the producers and beneficiaries, the people who feel like I worked my ass off. Me and my family worked our ass off. I came up from nothing, and now I'm making $100,000 a year or something like that as a family. That's not a lot, but it's not nothing either. I can take care of myself. And how much did you take from me last year? 30 grand? Where'd it go? That fucker that didn't work.
Mm-hmm. One who didn't.
Not that they couldn't. It's not some like permanent disability or some crap like that. They just didn't.
There's no incentive not to, or no incentive to.
Right.
I
And
mean,
so,
when you're raised in that and you're told that's okay and this is how you do it and this is the best way to do it because you don't got to do shit and you get paid, give me my money, bitch. That's crazy.
so yeah, there's that dependency we're feeding them rather than teaching them to fish for themselves, right?
Yes.
And then the cultural deficiencies include single motherhood, numerous children for which financial responsibility is not established, and then work ethic isn't a path to success. Like that's what you learn. Those kids, the multiple kids that you have, that you're looking at, well, how does my mother take care of us? She just gets a check.
Well, from who? The government.
Oh, the government. The government takes care of us. Who's dad? The government. Essentially.
Which government? The Democrats.
Yeah, the Democrats that we vote for. And so it's not about work. She's successful. She did just fine. It's not about hard work. So it's not. I'm not going to learn that hard work is the way.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I become an adult, when I reach legal age, I'm going to start drawing on those same systems because that's the path to success.
Yep.
And it creates that divisiveness because the tax from the ones working hard to produce is given to people that don't work, and they see it. It's not like this is some magic thing that we don't know happens. It's like, I know. Where's it going? I know it's going to... Well, I know it's going to single mothers that are white. I get that. But who else is it going to? I don't like single mothers that are white that are getting welfare either. I don't like them as a class of people. Why are you single? Why did you not wait until you were married to have kids? If you're not going to marry, why did you have kids? Well, okay, they got divorced and stuff like that. Then I'm looking at the dad, like, you're a piece of shit. What's wrong with you?
Well, even
I'm
that-
allowed to be judgmental of people's bad decisions and shitty cultural ideas.
Especially when it impacts your pocket.
Yeah,
Bingo.
yeah,
If it didn't
exactly.
impact my pocket, it'd be a whole different problem.
You can't.
Yep.
You can't.
You do you, I do me.
Yeah. You can't legislate my vagina stuff.
Yeah,
You're having me pay for your abortions. So I kind of get.
You're either having me pay for your abortions or your kids. Either way, I'm not your baby daddy. I shouldn't fucking pay for that shit.
Yep.
Right? And then if many of the producers are like of one race and many of the beneficiaries are of another race,
It will cause friction.
yeah, a racism that didn't even need to exist will now exist. This constant reproduction of this problem is going to create in the minds of people who've never even experienced racism this idea of like, Why is one race of people paying for another race of people to live? It's just dumb. And it's a massively incorrect generalization, but it is the generalization that will happen. So the first 4 policies push people to the last.
Yes.
Affirmative action screws you over because you're looking at like becoming an employer or something like that, and the employers are not looking at you with the same esteem that they would if affirmative action didn't exist and you're in the same position.
So, share your pay, share your job, all that stuff.
And they're getting hired less often,
Yes.
too. And they're getting fired because like you got hired for a position that you couldn't do. Failing out of school because you got accepted to a school you couldn't, you didn't merit.
And so because of that, can't afford a regular spot, got to go to rent control.
Yeah. So you either stay with your mom or whatever, someplace that is already rent control, you find rent control, or you elect the people who will make the places that you now live rent control. And so you can keep it that way for as long as possible. And then, I don't have the experience to get a better job, so, I need my minimum wage to be higher than it is right now. And then my kids, as they come up, they can't get think about that. I'm fighting for $15 an hour. What the fuck is my team going to do?
I remember when I first graduated from high school, pizza spots were a teenage job that you went to as a starting point.
Not even as a graduate. I was working there as a 15.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, people who didn't work in high school that parents were like, well, you got to wait till high school, whatever.
Sure.
You get out. That's a starting level job. Now I see grown-ass men, like 40 years old, delivering pizza.
Welcome to, is this the
That's what I mean. It's like, what does that set as a precedent? If the father and the mother both work minimum wage jobs, and I'm looking at like, oh, let's raise our minimum wage, what are my kids going to do?
Yep.
There's no going to be.
There's no job for them to fill. You're filling the spot they're supposed to fill.
Yes. And granted, that is in general, I guess, a problem nowadays that people are retiring later. So it's kind of causing this sort of like where there was sort of a flow. It's kind of clogging the pipe.
And that wouldn't be a problem if more people would invest more often into new industries and new businesses and stuff like that, especially where you live, where you're making minimum wage. Where do you live where you're making this minimum wage? In an inner city that has shitty-ass gun control, so crime is super high, and nobody wants to invest there.
Yep.
So I can't leave because there's no other jobs.
Why invest there? You're going to lose money.
Right.
You're going to get robbed.
You're going to get robbed.
People aren't going to buy as much. I mean,
I'm not coming to your downtown place to shop when I can go to that place in the suburbs to shop.
totally.
I know I'm not going to get shot.
It's a nice little outlet mall,
Right. And so because I can't make what I consider a living wage, and I can't live in, a place that's less likely to get me shot. I can't move because now I'm stuck in rent control. And that whole affirmative action didn't work out for me because, I wasn't really trying in high school. What do I need? I need a handout. I need to essentially revert back into like a childlike state where I have someone taking care of me. That's people that use government assistance to like get through a hump, get through like a valley or
it's
a ditch in life.
It's definitely for that. You get laid off and you're fucked for a little bit, and you're like, damn, I need some help.
Those people I have a lot of respect for. I have respect for them both because they used what they needed in order to like move forward, and they had the intestinal fortitude to swallow their pride and go out and get it instead of like, fuck it, I'm just gonna move home or something like that, or I'm just gonna go out on the street and beg for money or some shit like that, right? I get that some people do that. I don't really have respect for that. I have the respect for the people who are like, I need this assistance. I'm going to go through the trouble of getting it. And I know the paperwork for it is difficult, but I'm going to work my ass off and make this work. Like the people that inspire me are like what's his name, the Will Smith character in The Pursuit of Happiness.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't care what the fuck you think that you've earned in this life or you deserve in this life. If you didn't work the way he did, you can go fuck yourself. It's like if you're complaining and you think that you need a handout you've earned or you're entitled to some fucking benefit that you didn't, put into, fuck off.
You ain't entitled to shit.
Right. So he did what he had to do, and he worked his ass off for it. And I get that. And so, there's government assistance to take care of his kid and shit like that. I can understand that. But if you're like, I'm going to make a living of this, I have no respect for that. And that's essentially like, I'm not really an adult. I don't really want the responsibility of taking care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
I want daddy to take care of me. And daddy is the government.
Maybe that's why they're okay with, like, gay relationships. That we have two daddies. You have the one you don't know and the one who gives you everything.
I'm not keeping that in.
You have no balls, sir.
I'm going to cut that out. That's weird.
Because the government wants to turn us all into a bunch of teenage white girls. Daddy's going to pay for this for me.
And it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense that people can't look a little bit further down the line to see, well, what does this do to the economy?
Well, no, that's the thing, too. And that's also the reason why they can't look that far, because they're engineered not to. Or even if anyone who does, don't look there. That Republican that wants to do, that conservative that wants to do that libertarian that wants to overthrow that thing that is keeping you in bondage. Well, no, they're greedy.
It's just like this the Affordable Care Act, right? Affordable Care Act was just, I think, at least in part, repealed yesterday, right?
If it's not, it's going to be. They're crafting that coffin as fast as they can.
But the complaint that I hear is like, well, you don't understand like the struggles that people go through, and like, you didn't take this hard path in life, and blah blah, and these other people probably did, and they really need it, and this and that. I'm like, so? No, health insurance is a right. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's not.
And not only that, what I should pay because their parents made poor decisions or they made poor decisions. It's my fault. I have to pay for that. Like, no, it makes no sense.
Health. My health is my right, and that's covered by tort law. That's covered by civil and criminal prosecution. If you do something that affects my health in a way that's direct and purposeful, and I can prove it, I can own you, right? Might not slavery-wise, but like I can own whatever your assets are because you fucked up. It's proven over and over and over again that in our system, the idea that your health is your possession and your right, and that I cannot infringe upon it, is absolute. It's my life, liberty, and my ability to pursue happiness. These are fundamental rights. But I don't have the right to take from you anything. That's not a right.
It's not taking from me; it's giving to him.
No, and that's as much as that is a joke. That is also that's the pivot. That's the sleight of hand.
Yeah.
We're not taking. And same thing. We want to help the inner city. How about you don't fucking take 30% of my check? How about you make me not want to fucking hang myself every time I go and I go, oh well, there weren't my plans for schooling because it's gone.
Yeah, it's like,
I got to pay for gas. I got to pay for.
If you want to do the most to help the most people and solve, maybe not solve, but bring the race problem and just kind of eliminate it in a way that can even be argued about. Get us to the point where we can start bitching about bigger and more important things, right? As a group of all races.
Well, we do have a really big race problem in America now. Like
now,
just white people are being shit on.
Yeah.
And see people go, well, they did it. Two wrongs don't make a right.
Race relations are worse now than they were 8 years ago.
And like, well, Martin Luther King wanted equality. Equality means you are equal, not I am better than you. You can't say shit to me. I can say whatever I want to you.
No, not like that. There's this like, oh, we need to dismantle your privilege. First of all, I swear, checking your privilege is the SJW equivalent of going to confessional. Whatever. But yeah, every time that you hear, well, that is sexist. What you're doing is singling out men, and they will be paid less on average, or men will less succeed. Well, now you know what it's like. Yeah, as I've told people, I've been groped and felt up in a club before. And other men did that to me, right? And when I've told that to women, they go, well, now you know what it feels like. You heartless bitch. You heartless. I have other words I would use, but I would hope this would, but that's the thing. It's this idea of it happened, so we now get to do that to you, right? You go, no.
And then my brother's not somebody that would do that.
Yeah.
He is a very respectful person, and it's like, well, now you know what's like, bitch, I never did that shit. Like,
Yeah.
I was against it from the beginning.
I'm not a representative of the entire male population.
Yeah.
I'm not a representative of all white people. I'm not, like, you can break down my identity like 18 fucking different ways just off the top of my head. I'm not a representative of any of them across the board. But I got an answer for all of them? Fuck you.
Yeah, and even like I said, it's this idea like, well, it happened, so now you have to go through it. And you go, was it wrong when it first happened?
Right, yeah.
Yes or no? This is not a but, however, although, was this wrong? Yes? Then it's wrong.
It's wrong for you, too. It's wrong for you to do it.
There are people, the people who are currently, pooping on Trump and saying, well, we're not even, and people are saying, well, give him a chance, because wanting to see him fail means you want to see America fail, right? And they go, well, when the Republicans didn't give Barack Obama a chance, was that wrong? Full stop. Yes or no?
You want to equate yourself and equalize yourself to the level of a Republican. You hate them so much, but you're acting just like them. And then you go, well, they did it, so I'm going to do it.
It's extraordinarily childish.
Yes.
It is the philosophical mentality of a 5-year-old.
Yes.
Well, he hit me. It's only fair if I hit him back. It's like, well, okay, that's fair. You're right. It's fair. But is it right?
No.
Yeah.
That's
the right thing would be that Timmy, after he hits you, sits in the corner or doesn't get dessert or doesn't get playtime. Not you slug him in the mouth. He faces consequences that the system has said is yay or nay to that crime.
Yeah.
But it's this idea. No, you have to. We have to. There has to be exactly the exact amount of years will be the same amount that black people own white people as slaves.
And that would. I would even argue that that's fine. That's totally fine.
I don't know. He looks pretty.
Go back in time and make that happen to those slave owners.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't because they're dead.
Yeah.
Well, which one of us has owned a slave?
Yep.
Oh.
I haven't. So
yeah, but you're
do I pay for
like,
people that I'm not? In fact, do I pay for the crimes of the people who genetically, sadly, are more related to you than me?
Yeah, that's sad.
I mean,
it's fucked up.
Yeah,
admittedly.
Slave owners raped their slaves.
Yeah.
And I'm Irish, so I came in 1800s, so late 1800s.
Yeah, but you look really white, so
right.
It would make some black people just have the hardest of bonds.
Your skin tone triggers me.
It's problematic.
So I'm just saying, it's like you can't, in a morally good way, argue that I'm going to punish you to make up for what happened before. It's like that's not even going to make up for what happened before. Like slavery is not a very good economic system. Capitalism is the best economic system you can ever come up with. There's been slavery forever, right? No other nation in all of history has ever done what the United States has done in the last 150 years. No other nation ever has created the kind of wealth and
as far as
improvement.
I mean,
worldwide,
Okay, are you
as the United States has in the last 150 years, not just in the last 300 years.
No.
In the last 150 years.
No,
we weren't a world power in 1865.
Dude, no, we weren't.
When we made slavery illegal. We were a world power in 1901.
Yep.
We were a world power in 1919, 1945. These are the times where we're like, yes, we're the badass motherfuckers.
Well, yeah, and America.
And to go in 50 years to do all that? That's pretty
not only
crazy,
that,
you know?
You have
So
people,
it's like, well, you only have this wealth because of slaves. It's like, no, we have this wealth because capitalism, free market capitalism, is the most incredible fucking form of economic, development ever thought of. That's why. So if you go back to slavery, you're just fucking yourself over. You're making yourself more poor. Because I'm going to break your tools. You make me a slave, I'm going to break your fucking tools. I'm going to fuck up your mule. I'm going to piss in your bathwater and shit. I'm going to fuck you up. I'm going to spend so much of my time and effort just fucking with you because I'd rather die standing up than live on my knees.
Yeah, I will do terrible things to your shampoo. You will get some steady hold out of that, but you will never know why.
So it's like you can get over it and move on and embrace the American dream that is there for all of us.
No, but America was never great because the reason.
I'll hit you with my water.
You do that. I scream systematic oppression.
It's the white man hitting the Mexican here.
With water instead of wetback reference.
So the way that you fix it, though, the way you fix it is you get rid of affirmative action, get rid of the I think it's the last two parts of the Civil Rights Act. The first 8 basically say that like you can't discriminate. From like the government can't discriminate and stuff like that. But the last 2 were as a company, as a corporation, as a business, you're not allowed to discriminate. It's like honestly that doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Those 2 parts need to go away. The counter boycotts, the lunch counter boycotts worked because people stopped going there, not because they were forced to go there. The people misinterpret like the sit-in lunch counterpart where they go in, they sit there and demand it be served. That's because Jim Crow was a law. The state law said no, you're not allowed.
Yep.
It's not that the business owner, the restaurant owner, said no, I'm not going to serve you because I don't want to. He was saying no, I can't serve you because it's illegal. And we forget that, or we misinterpret all that whole section of history. Because Democrats want you to think like if it wasn't for the Democrats, you'd walk into a business, they tell you no, go away, we're not going to serve you.
No, the Democrats.
They can do that now. There are bars right now that I'm like, if I go in, they're going to kind of, not explicitly, but they're going to make me feel uncomfortable enough that I'm going to leave. That's capitalism. That bar is not for me. If I thought it was so fucking important that I'd be able to go and eat at that bar, or drink at that bar, or whatever, I'd organize my 100 million fucking white people to go fuck with them.
It's not 100 million white people. You, for that problem, they kicked out a white guy, and then you'd have so many people. Good. Now you know what it feels like.
But you understand, it's like I'd go boycott that place. I would make them look like shit, whatever, and boycott them and make their business die. But I wouldn't ask the government to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have the city council fine them, like with the gay bakery problem, the gay wedding bakery problem.
He wasn't a gay baker, but...
Well, I mean, if so, I happen to be libertarian. I don't judge.
Right.
Yep.
The gay wedding bakery cake problem is that the problem, the real problem is that the city or the state or whatever imposed its will on that bakery.
No,
and that's fucked up.
Because any crazy person can say, hey, I want it here, and they shouldn't get it there.
That's slavery. It's slavery.
But
you can't force me to
any
do
crazy
my
person
stuff.
can demand it, but you don't have to give it to them
Well,
until a corrupt or pandering government says, yes, you do.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not only that, when does it stop? But I'm really poor, and I wanted a really expensive tuxedo for my wedding.
You can't discriminate.
Well, you can't discriminate. They want to charge.
What about based on class? Can we you make it so you can't discriminate based on class? I don't have money for that Bentley.
Yeah.
Well, you can't discriminate. You got to give it to them.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking retarded. Of course you discriminate. That's how capitalism works.
My credit score was way too low, but they had to give it to me anyway, and I kind of lost it.
So get rid of that. Get rid of that part of the Civil Rights Act where you can't discriminate. Let capitalism do its job. Let it destroy racist motherfuckers' businesses. Because it will. It absolutely will. Capitalism doesn't give a shit what color you are. It just gives a shit what color your money is. That's it.
That's actually the fact. In Adam Smith's writings, he talks about why slavery is bad because he's like, you don't know what somebody's good at. You may be having a guy till your field. He may be one of the best plumbers in the world, but you will never know because you keep him tilling your field.
Right.
The system works better.
Self-corrects.
Yeah, the system works better. The system works best when people have the opportunity to work at better places. Not the forced opportunity, not the, I'm going to pigeonhole you into this position that I think you belong in. It's not like, oh, well, he might be the world's best CEO. That's not what I mean. He might be the world's greatest burger flipper, and that's not a slight. He might be the world's greatest, the best at it, the GOAT, greatest of all time. People will be like, oh, you're going to be the next so-and-so when they talk about working at McDonald's. That might be you, not as an insult. And you're going to be denied that 100%.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be pushed into whatever box. Because remember, in Soviet capitalism, you are an individual cog put away in an individual box that is easily replaceable.
Right. And so you get rid of that. You get rid of the minimum wage so that everyone with every level of experience can negotiate their wages out in that system.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Get rid of gun control. You want to stop crime in Chicago right now? From now until 1 month from now, right? Just start giving away guns. Legal guns. Change it to you're allowed to open carry. You're allowed to conceal carry. Here's ammo. And all of you, and he still has like a federal background check. If you're a felon, you don't get guns. Too bad. Whatever. And the murder rate will spike for a month as criminals figure out, like, fuck, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, they'll be like, I'm going to...
But it's not like the criminals are 50% of the population. Criminals are predators. That means that, it's a 90-10 population. That 10% is going to die really quick or figure out something else to do. And then your crime rate goes down. Then new investment happens, and that whole fucking city comes right up.
For funsies,
this is how you solve it.
For funsies, you got to, like, kidnap, like, KKK members and drop them off. Just for funsies. Just, like, occasional. Just so he's, like, getting dropped out of a black van. What the hell?
If you get rid of all these things, you don't even have to get rid of welfare.
Mm-hmm.
Just let it die off.
No,
because the economic productivity that will spur from releasing all these people's freedom back to them, all their liberty back to them, that is theirs by birth. By doing that, you're going to bring everyone up so fast and so outrageously that it's like, oh, well, why the fuck would I want to take that little piddly shit from the government in the form of welfare?
And that would make the people who are in charge of the system, the people who benefit from it, they would crap themselves.
Yeah.
They would be trying to figure out, I would probably guarantee you, suddenly war.
Right. I need to figure out something to keep your votes.
Yep. For yourselves.
So, this was the first of these types of videos where we get into a topic for a really long time. So if you like this channel, go ahead and click subscribe. If you like this video or others like it, click like. Click that little bell that's next to the subscribe button in order to make sure you get notifications every time I make a new video. And be safe, and I'll see you soon.